Often, however, suitable cloud cover does not exist when scalar tests are scheduled, so clouds are made to order. This is done by adding metallic crystalline materials to jet fuel, which results in the high persistence sky trails that we call chemtrails. Here is a pattern of a sky prepared for tests. This shows a chemtrail that is split by wave actions. And this shows multiple right angles pulled in a chemtrail. The Missile Shield program developed by the United States is a scalar energy-based application, and it is managed by sites such as this with odd-looking planar antennae. And in close-up view, this is another planar antenna, which is called a planar magnetic speaker. It is capable of projecting high-intensity sound as a magnetic scalar wave to any vector location within a several-mile radius without losing intensity. I would like you to memorize the characteristic shape of the planar antenna circled in red before you see the next picture, which is a scan electron microscope generated image of the formations of tiny cilia hairs within the inner ear. Now memorize the appearance of this antenna, which is part of a large geographical array of similar antennae that are used to steer and focus scalar energy transmissions to targeted vector locations around the world. And here we see it showing up as part of the cilia hair formations in the inner ear. When we look at the stamen within a flower, we see patterns and structures that we can now recognize as having a scalar energy function. And here we see the same cilia-like structures of the inner ear or of a flower stamen, but here we are looking at a scan electron microscope image of the outer rod segment of the retina of the eye. And here we see the hexagonal honeycomb shapes that these rods assume as they arrange themselves within the retina mosaic. Now here we see a bee pollinating a flower, and this is a scan electron microscope of the human tongue. We are all familiar with the slow turning wind energy towers that extract energy from a passing airflow. Efficiencies achieved have dramatically increased with the addition of vortex generators on the leading edges of the turbine blades. This concept is based on the vortex generators on the tail fins of whales. As we mentioned earlier, fish and birds and insects all use vortex generation techniques to improve their movement performance and to tap additional energy as free energy from the scalar energy field. This set of vortex generators on the whale's tail gives a kind of new meaning to the aviation expression of having a strong tailwind. But if you look carefully at this picture, you will see vortex generating bumps on the dermal ridges of our fingertips. The dimples in golf balls are vortex generators that add scalar field energy to the ball in flight. Dimples, after all, are the inverse of bumps. The performance of small aircraft can be substantially boosted by adding vortex generators to the top surface of the wings. Rotating blades with double helical design can tap scalar energy in wind energy applications. Tall, cylindrical chimneys are prone to self-destruct by vortex-induced turbulence that they create on the downwind side. This problem is overcome by adding a double helix to the chimney's outer surface. This shows a computer simulation of the process by which inward waves are converted into outward waves. The phenomenon of spin can also be visualized by the double rotation that the waves undergo as they transit the toroid core. This is our toroidal energy field structure model of planet Earth. When we look down on the north or south pole from space, we see evidence of the hole in the donut by the ring produced by the aurora lights. And here we see the donut in this gamma ray image of a magnetic star in the constellation of Pictor. Have you ever imagined that an apple is actually a donut? And here is a galactic donut cloud. By viewing the donut or toroid from above, we see a spiral pattern that is known as a Fibonacci spiral. It has a special shape that is based on a mathematical linkage that exists between circles and squares. This is another type of scalar antenna that is created as a helically wound toroid. Look carefully at the pattern that is created by the windings. And here we see it repeated in the structure of the spiral aloe, and in the hearts of many flowers. This exact pattern also shows itself in this spiral galaxy. And again in the human ear we have it showing in the spiral cochlea, the hollow bone inside which the tiny hairs which we were looking at earlier are located. Let us recall again the phase-locked wave structure from our computer simulation. Instead of visualizing clouds or sand, let us now consider light. Specifically, we are talking about special coherent light, laser light. Laser light is created by the same wave dynamics as we created by flapping the rope that we had tied to the wall. Forward and time-reversed waves on the rope created the frequency-locked scalar wave on the rope. So also in lasers. Forward and time-reversed light waves set up a scalar wave which we call a laser beam. This picture shows that when we inject several atoms into a laser beam, the individual atoms will phase lock into the stationary scalar wave of the laser beam and will settle into the lowest energy pockets within the beam, where they are trapped. It may be difficult to imagine the reality that light creates variations in its local gravitational field. But just as we saw with sand ripples and wave clouds,